Hi, Luce, and welcome to the show.
Hi, Show.
Thank you for joining me today to talk about meditation. Exciting.
Thank you for having me.
So let's start telling the listeners who you are and like what you do for a living. What do you get up to?
Well, my name is Luce Cousineau, and I'm a makeup artist primarily for film and television.
And how fun and exciting and stressful is that?
It is all of the above. It is far less glamorous than most people can imagine. I spend, I do a fair amount of lovely makeups and fun special effects, but I also trim a lot of nose hairs and mop tan sweat. So
yeah,
if I had a nickel for every time somebody said my job was glamorous, I'd have like $10 and
and you're also a mom and mom of two.
Yep, I'm a mom of two teenagers and
a wife,
partner, daughter,
everything.
niece.
So there's a lot on your plate most of the time, right?
A lot on my plate all the time. Yeah,
so, as most of us. So I just want to get to how we sort of met and got together, and how you got to taking my meditation class. So let's start from the beginning. How about that?
Well, I was just thinking about this because I became aware of you on that last season of The Librarians,
right,
which is a show about mysticism.
Yes, ironically.
Or planned.
Right.
Who knows?
It's always planned.
And so I became aware of you in that last season. I hadn't seen you before, but we didn't actually talk until the last episode,
right.
which we were filming in like kind of military complex,
yeah,
of some type,
so it was weird,
National Guard or something.
Yeah, I usually always try to stay away from hair and makeup and wardrobe, you guys. So I usually try to avoid all of you.
Well, I know what happened. How we started talking was because I was doing some last looks on set, and the set was kind of a locked cage. And in order for me to leave the set and get out of the view of the camera, I had to walk outside this door into a hallway, and you were posted up
right
at that hallway, which I think had a perpendicular hallway where
it was a weird space. It was weird.
Yeah, it was a weird space, but we were kind of like, when the camera was rolling, we were locked in this place together.
Yeah.
And so we were able to actually talk because the doors were closed.
We were trapped.
we were trapped in front of each other. And I was kind of like, hi, show.
Hi.
So we're almost done, and I asked, what was, what else did you do in your life that, besides, doing lockups.
Right.
On TV sets. And you said you...
Well, was it that clear, though? Because I don't think we got that far. I don't think we got to, what else are you up to? I think it was like, I want to know about... I think you just came out saying, I want to know about meditation. You can't...
Really?
It had to have been on your mind, because that was literally the first thing out your mouth. And my remembrance is we were trapped in this small space when we were forced to speak to each other. There's no way around it. It's like trapped in an elevator. You're like, hey, how you doing? And I think my remembrance is that you came up to me and said, do you know anything about meditation? You just came out and asked me about meditation. And I think that's when I said, well, actually, I taught meditation for 10 years. That's my remembrance. But you're remembering it a different way. And this is fine. This is a perfect example of two different perspectives.
I don't
And that's
I
what
don't
surprised
think you're
me.
incorrect about that. I mean, I'm so tired when I'm working.
I know.
I could have said anything, and you could tell me
but I
that
think
it's true.
that's-
I do remember I felt bad asking because I didn't want to intrude. Also, I'm kind of the opinion, just because somebody was a medication teacher, you should always offer to pay.
Right.
Rather than get free learning.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know enough about meditation, and I would like, if you have any books to recommend. And you immediately recommended Ram Dass.
Yes.
And
the name of that book is Journey of Awakening.
Yes.
The Journey of Awakening, which is one of my favorite books. That was my first meditation book that I read. So, did you read it?
No.
Oh.
But this is where the story gets more complex, right? Because, as it happens, I'm really tired at the end of the season, and I went home and I basically slept for 2 weeks, and then started working again. But the fall is typically a time where things start to slow down. So I had a little time on my hands, and at some point I thought, I've been doing yoga for a long time, so I have 2 books on meditation by this one particular yoga teacher who I studied with a little bit, and I enjoy them. They're all essays, and I remember reading a passage and suddenly remembering, what was that book that Shalonda told me that I should get? And then the phone rang, and it was you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And I said, "Sho, I was just thinking about you." And you said, "Yeah, I know. I heard you."
Isn't that annoying? That's so annoying. People hate when I do that.
It was everything, though. It was everything about, that moment of connection that we had.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that is all you needed. Yeah.
Yeah, and so here we are. So shortly after that, so I called you, and we talked in that locked room. We talked about meditation, and I said, well, I teach it. And then I said, well, read this book. Shoo off, go away. Later. Because that was a part of my life that I was just done with, because I'd been in spirituality. I'd seen a lot of charlatans. I'd seen a lot of incredible things, a lot of amazing things. So by that time I was just done with teaching and anything to do with spirituality, in that regard of sharing with the world. I was done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here comes Luz. No, you're not. So I called and we'd start talking. What happened next?
I think we decided to work together a little bit. You said that you would lead me through kind of 6 sessions. I think that's about the amount of money I had.
Yeah.
And that we could do them either in person or not in person. I mean, this is far before the pandemic.
Right.
But, it was surprising to me that, that was my first experience with any kind of online learning.
Yeah.
And it was just as effective as being in your presence.
Totally.
So that was very instructive because, of course, that's where we are now. And, the brain is really quite amazing at adapting.
Yeah.
So.
It's incredible. So you took 6 meditation classes.
Yeah.
Well, before you took anything, you said you practiced yoga for quite some time. You were ballet. You trained ballerina for quite some time, which takes discipline. And meditation definitely is a discipline. People think, oh, I'm just going to sit down and, butterflies are going to shoot out of my ass. That's not the case.
Anytime I tried before, that definitely did not happen.
And that's really not the goal, And the reason I recommended that book, The Journey of Awakening by Ram Dass, there's so many different paths for meditation, and each style produces its own fruit. So you have to kind of go, and that's the reason. Like I've done so many, tried so many styles, and the training that you took with me has been the most effective. I feel universally. So that's why I continue to use that style. It's more of a creative visualization, which you mentioned that you found beneficial, especially
Yeah.
for.
Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think my previous experience has been very movement oriented. I have never, prior to working with you, I really had not had any success in maintaining a space that felt meditative without moving. I had definitely entered into that state in yoga. That was the one place where I could kind of, in moving, could get my brain to quiet a little. I think that my other experiences were more chemically induced. In that, I mean childbirth, to some extent, breastfeeding, and dance in some way. Although I don't think I quite had that sort of ecstatic dance experience.
Sure.
Really, I'm a little too much of a brain,
Sure,
right-brained for that, or left-brained. So I struggled with the types of meditation that were just like, observe your thoughts passing like clouds. I was always like, well, are they going from left to right, or are they going from right to left? Which way are they going?
Yeah,
It's like, are the birds there? The closest I got was taking a meditation class with one of my yoga teachers, where it was a little more observational, like observing the sounds, observing the shadows that are going in front of your eyelids. So that got a little better. When you talked to me about creative visualization, I think I perked up because I use visualization a lot when I'm learning how to do a makeup. Because of the kind of fast-paced work that I do, there's not a lot of practice time. And I'm not one of those people that does a lot of makeup, like when a job's not going. I just sort of put my kid away and do something else with my life. So I'm not that kind of artist. I'm much more of a crafts person. So my ability to do stuff comes out of my fingers. I don't think about it that much, but I train myself through visualization.
Sure.
So I apologize for that. So when you told me that the method of visualizing pictures was supposed to be easy and light, that was a huge relief.
Yeah.
Because I am such a visual person. It's very easy for me to, visualize extreme detail and something quite robust. But the fact that I only needed a suggestion for my brain to learn from it was incredibly freeing, because it took the difficulty of getting into that state just out of the equation.
Yeah.
I didn't need to worry if I couldn't see the sun exactly.
Right.
I just needed to sense it.
Yeah. Just know that it's there.
Yeah.
Or just believe it, or just want it to be there. Just hope my son's there.
Yeah.
So after the process, through the process, what did you notice, the difference in the change, the fruit that came from your applying these different tools?
Well, I think the immediate fruit was that day to day it would generally get easier. I mean, certainly if I felt very emotionally disrupted, it's always a little harder. But one thing is, with this, I didn't feel bound to any particular time that I had to meditate. I would just give it what I had that day. And sometimes that was 5 to 10 minutes, and sometimes that was, meaning that's all I could kind of manage in my head.
Sure.
And then sometimes 45 minutes would go by.
Yeah.
And I just kind of took that as a gift, right? Like, I didn't attach a lot of importance to it. I just accepted that. I'm like, wow, I have a skill here that allows me now to broaden out this time. Like, I certainly don't have 45 minutes every day, but the fact that I could get into that state and maintain it was very reinforcing. I also developed a lot of physical feelings from the state of meditation that I could be in, I could feel my own energy. I think the reason that I talk to you about wanting to, I remember now, the reason I talked to you about wanting to learn meditation and to use a coach was because I had felt that I was not able to feel my own energy anymore. I had felt that I was only able to feel other people's energy.
Yep. And most people don't even know that that's a thing. Most people don't even know that that is a thing. And I talk about this all the time. And that was my big issue, being an empath growing up, and just being in the world and just picking up everything and feeling everything. And I didn't know if I was coming or going sometimes, when I was younger. And, I think we talked about this before. It's like being so spiritually minded. I was no earthly good. I was so feeling and engaging in people's emotions and spirituals, selves that, I couldn't pay my rent, like the basics, because I was so involved in healing people and making sure the comfort. So, and pulling away from those situations, like still having people's energy stuck in my space. And that's what led me to meditation, because I was like, I don't even know who I am right now. Like, I'm feeling like, Karen's emotions and Billy's emotions. What about mine?
Right. Yeah.
So that's that's one of the biggest gifts from meditation that no one talks about. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I think that, for me, recognizing that is like directly related to my work as a makeup artist. Like, I'm in a physical space with someone that also becomes an emotional space. And like, it's much easier for me to create those boundaries when the person in my chair, is going to get up out of the chair and split to go do their work, So like, I have done my work by creating a safe space for them to get into character, and then, but it stops like right here, it stops at, well, there's not really a counter, but like it stops at the counter, but like, there's so much residual, it's hard to get rid of that energy, I mean, I do that thing that you see the massage therapists do, like I get it out of my fingers, but like it gets stuck here and in your arms, and like it's hard to cleanse in between two subjects, it's like, and it's a real thing.
Energy's a thing, thoughts are things, energy's a thing. We don't really think about things on that level, but everything is made up of energy. Every single thing around us, we are, and we're all vibrating. Every single thing is vibrating. So if someone comes into your space who's vibrating at a lower frequency, and they're sad, their dog died, or whatever, they stumped their toe, they missed their bus, and they weren't able to get over that emotion. Whomever they're in contact with is, it's kind of like the virus, it's one of those invisible things that happen to us on a daily basis that we're not aware of, especially working on a tight movie or TV set, commercial, with like 200 people or 100 people, whatever, running around, stressed, for 12, 13, 15 hours straight. And then you go home and sleep for 5 or 6. And then, when do you have time to cleanse? When do you have time to release all of that? You just don't. So having little tools. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm on set and I'm just like sitting there grounding. I mean, I'm sure you may have like seen me once or twice. I'm just like standing there, with my eyes closed for like 5 seconds, just like, boop, just clearing it out. If I had a little argument with someone or which happens
Yeah.
a little tiff with somebody on set. I go somewhere and I use my tools like quickly, because for me, I know what happens if I let that build up and build up and build up. It's not a pretty sight at all. So owning your space, figuring out what your own energy is, helps you to make clearer decisions on what you are wanting and what you desire. It's like it's easy to be influenced by others if all of their energy is in your space. And that's how some people walk around, like that's how they manipulate and influence others. They throw their energy in their space. That's a very big tool in sales and marketing. They throw, this is what you have to get, this is what you want. They're verbally saying it, but on an energy level, they're throwing a whole bunch of energy in your space. And some people just get, bamboozled, and they're like, walk away. And 3 days later, they're like, how did I end up with this? It's like buyer's remorse. It's like, so thank you for bringing that up. Any other gifts you want to share that you've gotten so far? And just talk about the struggles of making time and space.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely cannot say that I have, since I've had that training with you, I feel like I have these tools. They have gotten rusty because I don't always meditate every day.
Yours are rusty. Mine are dusty.
Gone months without. I'm back to meditating.
Yeah.
Because I also have no real schedule right now, so
sure,
I have plenty of time. So the hardest thing is maintaining a routine and a discipline.
Yeah.
But I always feel better when I meditate. I always feel clearer. I feel more resilient when I do.
It's a gift. It's a gift.
It's a gift, and it's a skill, and all things that are worth doing take practice. I mean,
indeed.
So, but it's very nourishing. So I think I am someone who struggles a lot with discipline if I'm not being paid. Straight up. But I am being paid.
Yeah, there is a pay. There is a you do reap a harvest, but it's not a harvest that most people value or want or even think about most of the time. But with that said, this is the type of harvest that helps you get everything else in your life. I find that when I'm disciplined and I'm, like you were saying, yours is rusty. That happens. You fall on and off the horse. No one's perfect, and I think that's one of the deterrents with people with spirituality and meditation. They think they have to be perfect because there's all these charlatans that are walking around saying that that's what you need to do. It's not the case. No one's perfect. You fall on and you fall off. It's like, and there's a blessing in falling off, because you then see how much of a benefit it is.
Yeah.
When you do take a break from it, and then you're like, oh, I really, 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 really am benefiting from this.
I think I felt, rather than guilt necessarily, like I didn't necessarily feel guilty or responsible to you, as a student necessarily. I think more it's like I felt disappointment in myself for not being able to maintain the kind of discipline that I seek to maintain. And discipline has been an issue for me my whole life. There are very few times where I've had like really consistent follow through. For example, I've been studying yoga for 30 years.
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's only been in the last few years that I've had even a semi-regular home practice. Somebody gave me a yoga book. It's old, it's like an old Colleen Yee book. And it's sort of brought me back to my like Iyengar roots.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is like it just gives me a sequence, but all these sequences are matched up to a particular feeling that one might get. Fear, love, expectation, challenge. And so they're slightly autobiographical. And I was like, oh, it's a good one because it's like, okay, here's the sequence for taking risks. Here's the sequence for fear. Here's the sequence for losing, for grieving, here's the sequence for sickness. And I was like, oh, this is accessible, right?
Sure.
So I think I have been kind of using, I've allowed myself to be a little bit more gentle in my disappointment of not following through.
Sure.
But I also think that now I have a newfound awareness of quite how important my mental health is, and that anything that I can do to keep myself in a place of neutrality,
right,
and mental space is helpful.
Okay.
So it's helpful in just my, how I was brought up and how I move forward. I mean, when you have children, you have to be very careful that what you are imparting to them is going to help them rather than harm them. You will always harm them. That is almost something that is like a given. Hopefully your harm comes with healing.
Oh, absolutely. Ushering in. So being gentle with yourself when you fall off or when you things don't always, no one's perfect. We're human, And the road to the path of meditation and yoga, that was never meant to be a path of perfection, of people becoming so pious and spiritually minded and righteous, which it has turned into, which I think is a turn off. Again, another turn off. So, that's why I want to make, I like to make it fun. That's how I was taught. I was taught to find my amusement, make it light. When I was in training, we were required to meditate an hour a day, every day for, a year. And that continued on for me for several years because, you just get into the habit of it. Do I meditate every day for an hour now? I definitely do not. I don't need it, because after a point, it's about maintenance. I'll have a meditation, an hour meditation, maybe 2 or 3 times a week or a month. But to try to maintain that, it's not realistic, to an hour or 2 hours every day. It's a little bit obsessive, and it's not necessary. It's not a requirement. There's so many other things that you can engage. Life is a meditation. Engaging with people is a meditation. You were mentioning yoga as a movement meditation. Breathing. Sometimes just being aware of your breath. It's all that people can do for 5 seconds. Taking a deep breath. And people have to accept and be okay with where they are, and just be okay, and just whatever it looks like, and just drop all the judgment and the self-criticism, the social criticism. I mean, that's really what meditation has brought to me so far. Like the greatest gift is to drop all of those, all of the baggage that people carry around, the carrying of, everything that prevents people from being who they are. Speaking their truth. We were just speaking about speaking our truth, right? So meditation, that's one of the main gifts that I've gotten. I mean, I used to be such a quiet, meek, not speaking my mind. I could barely, I didn't sing, I didn't talk. I mean, look at me now. It's just like, who the hell is this? The hell? So it's, really what I've gotten is freedom. And freedom is going to look different for everyone. Freedom within oneself. What does that look like? That's going to look different for everyone. And it doesn't mean you're going to be, some, floating You may levitate, you may have develop telekinesis, you may develop other amazing gifts, but really it's free. It's freedom to have those things, freedom to have the space within you to expand to be those things and to be yourself, freedom to be yourself. Whatever that looks like. And that is the main gift for of meditation that I found. And that's the gift that I'd like to, that's the gift that keeps on giving, because if you're out in the world being yourself, you're allowing other people to be themselves. You're allowing that freedom to, and that's the virus we really need to, take off here.
Yeah. That's a virus we can sign up for.
The freedom to be yourself. So that's the goal of these meditation podcasts. So hopefully we'll get to spreading that freedom around. Thank you so much, Luce, for joining me.
It's my pleasure, Sho. Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have a meditation session again soon.
I would love that.
And until then, keep tuning in. And we will share and spread that freedom. Thank you, folks.